this vessel was found intact on the Manti-LaSal National Forest by a Division of Wildlife Resources employee named Casey Mickelson, who did all the right things. He located the vessel, recognized its importance, concealed its location so that no one else could accidentally find it, and then contacted us at the Forest Service. And we in turn contacted the folks here at the CEU Prehistoric Museum because they have types of expertise in dealing with fragile artifacts like this that are very important to its preservation. So we went out today, a group of us, including Casey and his family, and recovered the artifact. And Dr. Barlow did a lot of the technical work in recovering the artifact.
It's a thrill for the museum to be involved in something like this because, of course, this is the best of all possible worlds, that we not only get to have this amazing artifact to display and interpret for all of the public, for anyone who wants to see it, but also we have all of the information about its provenience. It was found in situ, which means it was where these ancients left it 800 or 900 years ago. And we can connect that with the radiocarbon date, with the plant remain data, and it's here for other researchers from other institutions. We'll probably have a researcher, Jim Allison, from Brigham Young University analyzing the pottery. We'll probably have Linda Cummings from Colorado doing the analysis of plant remains, pollen, phytolith, and starch, hopefully. And there are just endless possibilities, directions this could go, and linking it to other evidence of behavioral activity in this area. So
one of the neat things about this is that we kind of take for granted that Indian people were a part of the history of Carbon and Emery County. And this is a great reminder of how deep and extensive that history runs, and how in a remote area of the forest where you would not expect a lot of human activity, we have evidence that people in the past were in this area, they were working, they were caching things that were important to them, and it's a marvelous thing that we have the chance to connect back to those people in such a lively way. Although a lot of the paint on this vessel is missing because it was exposed to the elements through the years, we get enough glimpses of the artistry and the skill that went into decorating this pottery to remind us that these people not only survived in this landscape, but they thrived and had active artistic traditions. And no doubt took great pleasure in making this pot.
And so this jar, the design on it, looks very Anasazi. You actually have the negative. It's a black on white, so the black is the paint, but they painted it in a negative style that's very reminiscent of the Anasazi, their neighbors to the south, if it is indeed Fremont. And we think that it probably is, because it looks like it has the local basalt timber. So that would mean its core area is right here at the confluence of Ivy Creek, Muddy River, that kind of that area, if it's an Ivy Creek black on white. And that suggests all kinds of linkages too, going back to diversity, but also social ties and possibly all kinds of stuff going on 1,000, 900, 800 years ago.
Yeah, and this is a very sophisticated form of art in which the black paint is the dominant design, and the white paint, as Renee said, the negative space, becomes a less obvious part of the design pattern. It causes the white paint to jump out at you more, and we often think of places like this as being kind of backwater areas, you know, that the Anasazi world down south and the places we know better like Mesa Verde and Chaco Canyon were the really happening parts of the Fremont world, but folks in this area were very tied into that universe, and they knew what was happening in that world. They were mimicking those design styles here and doing it beautifully, and were very much involved in that broader universe around them. And this is typical of Indian people in the past. They were very aware of the world around them, had extensive training networks, extensive social networks, and this little pot is a reminder of kind of the richness and complexity of their world. One of the neat things, as Dr. Barlow pointed out, about this find is that it is not alone. This pot was actually buried with this little bit of juniper matting here. It looks rather rough in its dirt matrix. But what this tells us is that whoever left this pot took juniper bark, shredded it up, and put it in the bottom of a little depression to protect and nest this vessel when they cached it. And not only does that tell us something about the care that they took in caching this pot, but it gives us a great source of information because we can carbon date this material and perhaps be able to get a better idea of specifically when people buried this vessel.
Next, we're going to contact our colleague in Colorado and see if she would like us to remove the sediments with the plant remains or bring the vessel out there to have her do it in lab and then run these samples actually and see what other information we can get about possibly prehistoric diet and environment that was in that area. We suspect it's very similar to today, possibly a little bit wetter.
Yep. Dr. Barlow will also be doing some careful conservation on the pot to try and stabilize it. You can see how kind of flaky some of the painted surfaces on the pot are. And ultimately the museum here is going to exhibit this vessel so that everybody can come and see it. We'd also like to see about putting it on temporary loan down to the Museum of the San Rafael in Castledale so that folks from Emery County can also get a better look at it. So we're thrilled with this find and we'd like to share it with as many people as we can.